Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Alex from Techrific today, and we're in this beautiful low forest, and we're going to be diving into a very interesting subject about the M2 MacBook Air. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So before even talking about the M2 MacBook Air, we should really think about how the history of the MacBook Air has evolved. So back in 2008, Apple made some groundbreaking move by introducing the MacBook Air lineup. And it was an engineering marvel, so it boasted an unbelievably thin and lightweight laptop that was really good for a bunch of different types of users. Now, over the years, we've seen many types of MacBook Airs up to 2023. So about 15-ish years later. From the classic web-shaped MacBook Airs to the Intel-based processors MacBook Airs, now to the M1 and M2 MacBook Airs, Apple has done such an amazing job at evolving this lineup. And now we're in the era of Apple Silicon, with the MacBooks that now support the M1 and M2 chips. And the M2 chip is the heart of the latest MacBook Air that I have in my hands today. So we're going to be checking it out and seeing if it's really worth it in 2023. So to dive right into it, we're going to start talking about the design and the build of the M2 MacBook Air. As you can see, it supports the same nice aluminum body that was found on the M1. And it's really interesting because despite it being aluminum, it's very light and easy to carry around whether you're outside or you're just carrying it around with even 2 fingers or 1 hand under it, which is super nice if you're on the go and you just want to be productive and have a powerhouse in your hands. So now talking about the display on the M2 MacBook Air. It supports a Retina display that is simply stunning. It boasts vivid colors, sharp details, and excellent brightness even in bright sunlight. So whether you're working on graphics, watching movies, writing up some emails, or doing some creative work, the display is a treat to your eyes. And of course, let's not forget about the Magic Keyboard. It's been around for a few years now, and in all honesty, it's a pleasure to type on. The keys have just the right amount of travel, and you can type for hours without ever getting tired. So now let's talk about the real game changer, the performance, which is all housed in the M2 chip. Apple has been making waves with their silicon, and today this is the M2, and in all honesty, it has no exception. It promises groundbreaking performance and battery life. And throughout my use of it, I have never seen a single moment of lag, whether I'm writing emails, working on some documents, doing school, productivity, creative work, or even editing 4K content for you guys. And I'd like to point out that I'm using the base model of the M2 Air, which has 256 gigabytes of storage and an 8 gigabyte RAM memory, which in all honesty is insane for the amount of work it can do. And I'll be honest, the only thing that you can't really do on the M2 Air, or in fact any MacBooks for that matter, is gaming. It's absolutely a horrendous experience because Macs are simply not made for gaming. But who knows within the coming months and years if Apple will improve on that. I'd love to see it. So the battery life of the M2 MacBook Air is constantly changing, just like we change locations. And over time of me using the M2 MacBook Air, I've gone days, sometimes even weeks without charging it. And obviously I wasn't using it constantly throughout those days and throughout those weeks, but it has always been doing a fantastic job. Apple claims that it does 18 hours of battery life, and overall, I think it's really good. Another critical aspect of the M2 MacBook Air is how it handles everyday tasks such as demanding applications, whether it's Adobe Creative Cloud, Final Cut Pro, iMovie, or simple things like Gmail or Safari. Currently, I'm using macOS Ventura 13.5.1, and it's been an amazing experience. Now, the M2 Air and the M1, matter of fact, are both upgradable to the new Mac OS, which is called Sonoma. Last but not least, being an Apple product, the M2 MacBook Air syncs beautifully throughout the Apple ecosystem. So whether I have my AirPods Pro Generation 2 or my iPhone 14 Pro Max, I could easily hop onto one device and continue on the next one, which is amazing. So let's continue on the next clip. So as we all know, Apple has been notorious for its minimalistic approach to ports on their laptops. So what does the M2 MacBook Air offer in terms of connectivity? Let's find out. First and foremost, we have Thunderbolt 4 ports. Yes, you heard that right. Thunderbolt 4. These are incredibly versatile, ultra-fast ports that can handle data transfer, charging, and even connecting external displays. But wait, there's more. Alongside the Thunderbolt 4 ports, we've got a headphone jack. Yes, you heard that right, a headphone jack. Apple has been one of the few companies to continue including this beloved audio jack, and for many users, that's a big plus. Now, this is where things get a little tricky because we still don't have any standard USB-A ports or SD card slots. Now, if you're someone who relies on these for transferring data from older cameras, phones, or computers, you might need some dongles or adapters. Now, let's not forget about the MagSafe charging port. This feature has made such great noise around the tech world and in recent MacBook models, and now it's on the M2 MacBook Air. It's a very convenient and nice way to charge your MacBook whenever you need a little more juice to power it up. It magnetically attaches to ensure your charging ports stays connected securely. So in terms of ports, the M2 MacBook Air strikes a balance between modern, high-speed connectivity as well as Apple's minimalistic design approach. So whether it meets your needs really depends on your specific use case. So in our fast-paced world, connectivity is king, and the M2 MacBook Air might require a few adapters for most users, just like me, whether it's SD card or whether it's USB-A. But even then, it offers some of the most versatile and high-speed connectivity available on laptops nowadays. Yo, guys, don't you think that the M2 MacBook Air is only worth it if the price is worth it? They're ignoring me. Anyways, as I said, the M2 MacBook Air is only worth it if the price is worth it. And in Canada, you could buy it for $1449. Well, after taxes and fees, around $1,500. And in my personal opinion, I think that it is slightly on the more expensive side, taking into account that the Air models of the MacBooks are mostly for students or people on a tight budget that'd like to produce some creative content. So while the tech season is quickly approaching with the M3 MacBooks coming out and maybe other MacBooks or other versions of the M2, who even knows, there's so many rumors going on, the M2 MacBook Air will obviously diminish in price, which at that point, I'm going to be checking out more laptops and MacBooks, especially around Boxing Day, to see if they're really worth it. And obviously, if you really want an M2 MacBook Air right now, you could get some for secondhand around $1,200, or if you're fortunate enough, even $1,000. And I still do highly recommend it. So let's say you're using the camera on this beautiful M2 MacBook Air, whether you're on Zoom in a video conference, Google Meet at school, or maybe you're on FaceTime with a call with grandma and grandpa. Does the M2 MacBook Air actually have a good camera? It features a 1080p HD camera, which is honestly amazing. It's very fluid, and you're gonna be looking stunning at the top of your video conferencing compared to everyone else. As for the microphone, it sounds really good. I've been on many video conferencing and people have said that my camera looks good and my microphone sounds really good. They can really hear my voice, and overall, I really enjoy the mics on the M2 MacBook Air. It really gets your volume across whatever you're trying to share with a nice bass and stereo sound. As for the speakers, amazing. I've watched many YouTube videos and have even edited the videos that you see up on my channel right now, thanks to the MacBook Pro speakers. Anyways guys, we've covered a lot of tech ground today, and I think it's time to go back home into the studio and edit this beautiful M2 MacBook Air video and see if it's really worth it in 2023. Make sure to like it if you haven't already, subscribe, share with notifications on if you haven't already, and comment down below. Also make sure to check out my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all in the bio below, at TechRificItIs. And that's pretty much it. I update you guys regularly on social, so make sure to check me out. That's everything for me today.